to add the blood. Resident Evil. Games filled with spookums and scares. Now those games were amazing. Now I say were because I'm talking about the PS1 era, which means this old beat up PS1 of mine is getting a Resident Evil makeover. Okay, so the first thing I needed to do was to actually take apart the PS1. And I just want to say thank you, Sony, for making this an easy process. No weird screws that only your company uses, and then you have to go online and order one screwdriver, but no, you can't just order one screwdriver because you have to buy it in a set, of course, so now I'm spending $15 on one screwdriver. Sorry, just a little bit bitter there towards Nintendo for some of the past projects I've done with the weird tri-wing screws and the game bit screws. Come on, Nintendo, you could have just made me void my warranty for taking it apart like Sony did here. Sorry, we've only been in this video for about 30 seconds and somehow I've already went through a rant. So first rant is over. But once I was done taking apart everything, I needed to clean off everything inside the system with some alcohol because it was kind of nasty inside there. And then I washed everything that was plastic in just some soap and water. Once everything dried from getting their alcohol and bubble baths, I went into my garage to start getting the first coats of paint on this thing. I went with a solid white primer for the base color of this piece because I wanted to actually add some like blood splatter later on in this project. And for both the heat shields and the disc tray, I painted those a metallic red. Now, while I waited for all that to dry, it was time to design my Nemesis that was going to go on the case. I pulled some references of the newer design of him since the old one looks like this. Still creepy in its own right, but I can't really tell the color of his eyes. Is that like baby poop green, or I drink way too much coffee and forget to brush my teeth yellow? Oh, it's white? Oh, okay. To get this image onto the system, I printed my drawing and then used some graphite transfer paper to trace over the entire thing to get it on there. For the paint job, I went with a slightly more comic bookish like look to it, with its little bit harder line shadowing and slightly more limited color palette. I thought this would give it a really cool and clean look. The skin was a little less comic booky, mainly because I forgot that was going to be my plan till after I had already started, and at that point it was way too late. And that's, I guess, just the problem of being me and having the brain of a squirrel. The paints that I use for this project are just regular old cheap acrylics and then some acrylic based paint pens. The pens are really nice to have if you're doing really hard line shading, especially if you're like me and you kind of have a shaky hand. Okay, so I have Nemesis painted on here and it looks really cool, but it needs just a little more Resident Evil. It needs blood splatter, is basically what I'm saying. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna use a little trick I learned with some petroleum jelly, and I'm basically gonna use that to mask off the entire drawing here. And that's basically just gonna make it so when I splatter paint onto it, it's not gonna get paint on him. That's how masking works. Yeah. So it's time to mask that mask. It's time to mask this thing, bring it out to the garage, and add some blood. Okay, so this is gonna be a test so you can see if this will work. Oh yes. Be perfect. Be perfect. Yes. Okay, so I got the petroleum jelly on here. It is time to add the blood. Sorry. Excited. Made this little barrier right here so I don't get any blood all over everything in my garage, which I just finished kind of cleaning up, so I don't want to get extra blood on everything else. So of course you're gonna want eye protection so you don't get any paint in your eyes, and a wacky majigger to. Without further ado, Yes. Now once the paint splatters are all dry, I just need to go in with some paper towel and then clean off the petroleum jelly that was put on here to mask Nemesis. This method works so well to mask off spray paint, and once I learned about it, I haven't done anything else to mask out my work. Well, at least on plastics or metals. I don't think you'd probably want to do this on paper. Yeah, no, that sounds like a mess. Once all the jelly was wiped off though, I needed to do something a little bit more with the buttons. So I went and grabbed my Cricut and cut out a couple designs. For the power button, I chose to do the Umbrella Corp logo, and then for the disc tray, I chose to make a biohazard symbol. Now I have done a couple system paint jobs in the past, the link is going to be in the card for those, but this one definitely takes the cake for cool factor and maybe a little bit on the creep factor side as well. But with that being said, let's get some epic, cool sweeping shots of this thing finished. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching this till the end. I am so happy with how this piece turned out. If you want to help support me and this channel and get updates on videos before they even come out, go and check out my Patreon. Link will be down in the description. And if you want to check out some other systems I have redone, make sure to click on either one of these two videos. But remember, like always, keep designing, and until next time, bye.